Yo, what up, what up? For HYPEBEAST Radio, this is Manny, and this is Soundcheck, a show that looks to discover the origin story of your favorite artists and major players in the music industry. We ask the questions that you always wanted to get answered, and you never know who may pop by. For the second episode of Season 2, we talk to Black, the Atlanta native who sits down to discuss his new album, East Atlanta Love Letter, growing as an artist, and so much more. Welcome to Soundcheck. Well, this is probably my most excited episode of Soundcheck so far. One of my favorite artists is in town, so I'm just happy to get him on the show. I'll allow you to introduce yourself.
I go by the name of Black. That's 6LACK, and no matter what you think, it's still pronounced Black.
Yes. Do people still mispronounce it now? Is that?
Yep, all the time, but I have no problem with it whatsoever because my merch does amazing.
Yes. Oh, there you go. All right. So I have to backstory. If anyone isn't familiar, you had a shitty label there before, got out of it, made Free Black, album went nuts, hit songs. 2 years later, you got East Atlanta Love Letter. I think I got a chance to listen early, and I was like, oh, this is top 5 album of the year. So I definitely want to dive into that. I think the biggest thing I got from it is that I think one of the things that I guess I start off with this. One of the biggest things I feel like that's great in your music is that you are comfortable in writing about difficult situations or different conversational topics in a way where it's like makes you reflect as a listener on like your personal life. Can you tell me about your writing process? Like, how do you start with making a song?
I mean, from a general standpoint, I think that just listening to music, being a fan of music, I listen to music within the same realm of myself. And I think with what R&B is or has been lately, is like there's a lot of surface level and there's a lot of like, like I love you, you hurt me, don't leave me, type records. But it's like what else, what's actually going on versus, you just like painting this picture without giving us like the full thing. So with my music, it was like, let me be vulnerable, let me tell my stories, let me not be ashamed, let me talk about things that are going to make people like raise their eyebrows and be like, I'm going through that too, or I'm thinking about that too, or I'm struggling with that too. So I just wanted to be more personal, more detailed. And, with that, obviously you develop a connection with your fan base. And going into this project, that was the same goal, from Free Black. It's just now it's a little bit more personal. Now, I'm just dealing with a different monster. It was everything, everything in my life leading up until fame, for Free Black. And then this one is, okay, life has changed, but it's not, like necessarily fixed. It's just like a new thing to figure out.
Yeah. I want to say that I just had this question here. So the 2 years between Free Black and East Atlanta, I think probably one of the things just listen to the album is that you're famous. Like it's no longer Black is a kept secret. Free Black is like, no, this is an album people have been anticipating for. And also is your way of dealing with like you as a person and you as an artist and how that kind of clashes. Can you just talk about those 2 years in between and how did your life change?
Yeah, I mean, 2 years on both ends, like it seems like such a short amount of time, but so much was like jam-packed, into those 2 years as far as multiple tours, as far as having a kid, as far as life, like you said, just changing and being from one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum. Like so many things happen within that, and in that, there was really no time to actually process or like sort my shit out. So in Free Black, when I'm like talking about solving these problems and trying to figure it out, you fast forward to, post that, and it's like, okay, now I'm in the midst of all this shit and I still can't figure it out. Or I'm, now it's just like a little bit more for me to figure out. So, yeah, the last 2 years they've been up, they've been down. It's been like new things that I've had to like adjust to, and new I think with this album and this like time period, I've just been more open to perspective and like other people's side, versus my own side, which was kind of where I was living at one point. Was I feel, I think, I should, and this album is okay. Well, let me think about like how somebody else feels about the situation and talk it out.
I'm curious to know what is it like being an artist while ascending? Like when you go from like I can go to the corner store, but and just walk there easy to like I'm eating dinner and then someone literally interrupts me and be like, hey, can I take a picture of you? Like
Yeah.
what is that like? Do you be like?
It's different, but like I still keep the same, element that I promoted and that I kind of ran with from the beginning, which is I'm a regular person. I want to be treated like a regular person. I want to do regular things. I want to enjoy that part of my life as much as I can. I know the reality of it, has bent a little bit, but you can still catch me like at a regular place by myself. Management might not fuck with it, like label might not prefer it, but I do those things. And when people see me, like they don't bum rush, they don't like go crazy. It's like they understand who I am, so they kind of approach me like, yo, I don't want to bother you, but can I get a pic? And with that, like it's like I said, it's different. I'm not that kind of person who's like out there, and like that's not my natural personality. But I understand what the purpose is and what I'm doing, and that it does impact people. So if I can take a second to be uncomfortable to make somebody else be comfortable, then whatever.
Is it difficult writing so personal, like getting really personal in songs?
No, because I think the difficulty comes in me actually like talking about those things in real life. Like I got in the habit of thinking because I wrote it or sung it, I don't have to talk about it. And now I'm in the process of saying, okay, that's cool, bro, but like the people you're dealing with in real life aren't like waiting to hear a song to know what the fuck you think. You have to figure out how to talk. So in me like trying to I guess push communication on my listeners, it's also me like coaching myself at the same time.
Why communications being like, I guess, a central thing for this?
Just because of how things have been in the last 2 years. Like I said, I haven't had much of a window to figure out my shit, to communicate like the things that I wanted to communicate, or like I just get in the pattern or just the routine of just being gone or like handling music and feeling like, okay, that'll get handled later, and just like seeing the result of that, in my life as far as just like I said, just from relationships, from having a daughter. It's like all these things that I have to think about where I'm just like, communication actually needs to be like my clearest thing. Like if it's not, my daughter's gonna ask me one day like, what's going on? Like why don't I know this? What's going on with that? Like she's gonna have questions. So if I can't answer them, then I'm not doing my job.
What's it like now being a father? Like did something? Tell me about like when she being born. Or was it like some bright one was like, shit, I need to.
Yeah, it was like a clarity switch. It was like all the shit that you haven't, gotten together or you postponed, like you have to do it now. Like, it's no more like gray areas or no more like beating around the bush. Like you literally have to say exactly what you mean. You have to like clear out all this space because she needs a clear environment. She needs answers. She needs what a daughter needs.
How difficult was it in the beginning? I guess, how old is your daughter now?
She'll be 2 in February, so she's like 1 and some change.
How difficult was it in the beginning? Was it like, oh man, I'm not getting any sleep?
No, the difficulty with me came from being gone so much. So it's like, I wish that I had the problem of not getting any sleep because I'm just there and I'm like watching her. But my problem was I'm on tour. And she just took her first steps and she just ate her first solid food. And like she's doing all these things and learning. And every time I come back, it's like, damn, I didn't get to teach that or I didn't get to like witness it. Like I had to be on the road and like it sucks. But I also understand the purpose and what I'm doing. And it's not just about setting her up like financially. It's just about like showing her what my purpose was and inspiring her to find her own purpose.
Some of the songs I like, some of my favorite songs on the album is Pretty Little Fears. The intro, really love the intro. But I really love the songs where it's you openly talking about like knowing in a relationship, knowing when to step away, knowing when to like, all right, come back and reevaluate what you did yourself, like
right.
Real introspective. I guess these felt like diaries, not diary, but journals, and just like a way for you to work out your issues in the personal life. I definitely some of your favorite songs. I'd like to get to some of your favorite songs and let's go through some of the writing of it or just like the creation process of it.
I think, in its own way, every single song on the project is my favorite, obviously, because nothing that wasn't my favorite, like made it to it. But every song like has its own, I guess personal connection and is like my favorite in its own way. I would say Sorry is one of the, one of the ones where it's like I get to reflect and admit, that I might not have done everything I needed to do or said everything I was supposed to say, and now I'm just being accountable for it. Disconnect is just more so talking about communication and talking about not even just my fault or your fault, but just like we're in a place where we just don't click, you know, like, or we can't really have a conversation. And instead of stringing it along and making it worse, it's just like, let's just figure out how to break it off. And then in addition to that, all the features, I feel like I got the opportunity to provide a template for people to do something that they might not do on their project or might not say on their project. So from Cole to Offset to Future, like you didn't hear them in their normal pocket. Like you heard them in my world and, you know, with my Sonics, just putting their spin on it.
100%. The Future record, I was like, yo, I haven't heard Future do this before.
Yeah.
And so I was really exciting. And it was like, I don't know, I really loved that. Stan, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about that? Because, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Stan was like, I guess my version of what I felt like a love story, or, you know, whatever it was supposed to sound like, feel like at the end of all this conversation, at the end of all these talks, trials, like that the album takes you through. Because it's pretty like a slow tempo, just like emotional album. So after all of that, like this is the point of it all, is to get to that point, you know, to after you have all these conversations, after you go through all this shit, after you like talk about what you need to talk about, like this is where you need to go, you know, like this is how you're supposed to feel. So that was the point of like making that song last. And yeah, I kind of feel like how it ends so abruptly is like a prelude to where it goes next, you know, not even just sonically, but in my life, like it cuts off and like something new has to start. Like whatever's next as far as a new album or whatever, like has to be completely different than, you know, these two.
Were some of these songs written before, like, I guess, how old are some of these songs? How new are some of these songs? I know one song in particular, you did it like right before the album dropped, right before it was, you submitted it.
Yeah.
It was a song.
Might have been Let Her Go.
Yeah. And then there's other songs you did while you were on tour in Free Black.
Yep.
So tell me about like, are there two different, was it like, I guess that Six Black then and now,
right.
Like was that like, you ever thought about collecting them? Like how did you pick all these songs?
I mean, I was just moving around on tour, and like it's easy for me to record on tour, but you know, it's not easy to put together an album on tour. So like I was making songs. I had Loaded Gun for a while. I had Scripture. I recorded that in Montreal when I was on tour. I'm trying to figure out like what else I might have done on tour. Unfair, I did that on the Weeknd's tour. Like right after my show, I just went to the studio. And those might be like the only three that were done on tour that made the cut. But other than that, I just kept trying to like sit somewhere for a minute so I could like actually put it together. So we like got to a studio for a few months, recorded like a good bulk of records, thought I had the album. Then I was like, nah, I need to keep recording. And it was like that for maybe 2 more just different studios until I was like, all right, now we got something. And then they were like, no more records. Like, you know, let's put it together. And then I was like, no, one more record. Yeah, because it's just like, you know, when something's missing. So something was irking me. Like I said, it's a slow tempo project. So for me, I was itching just because I was like, something upbeat is missing. So let me like figure that out. And somebody Business Boy sent me the Let Her Go track. And I was like, all right, there we go. Now I'm excited. Now I can like get this out the way and we can actually put it together.
What's your selection process? I feel like you probably made a handful of songs, like a collection of songs, and then you picked which one fits.
It's a hefty process. It's like I make a ton of songs. Like I made at least 200 before Free Black.
Wow. And
then I probably like between Free Black and here, I've probably made 100 songs too. So it's just like I make them, and you know, over time I think the key with like the first project and this project has always been for me just figuring out what can I not get tired of, or what can I do to like write a song that I don't, you know, get bored with or like get over in like a couple of months. So whether it be word choice, whether it be melody, whether it be cadence, like what can I do to make sure that this song, you know, isn't a song that disappears in like a couple of months. So it doesn't always like end, you know, how you want it to end. Like I'll have a song, I love it, and then 2 months later I'll be like, that ain't it anymore. It's just like, you know, it's cool. You just charge it to the game and try to make something better. But make a bunch of songs, pick out your favorites, hope they last. And then once you have like a few favorites, you know, I start tying together like the theme and the sequence.
What comes first, the lyrics or like the melodies?
Melody always. It used to be words when I was like, I guess when I more so rapped more than I sang, but now it's all about feeling. So I hear a track or a sample or a sound and I'm like figuring out, you know, how I should like approach it. versus like what I should say. Because usually like when I figure out the sonics of it and how it makes me feel, what it makes me like want to sing, then I'm like, okay, from that, this is what I can talk about.
I don't think I ever read how, like, what made you cut your hair.
In the simplest way I can answer, I just feel like what I was going through and what I was like talking about on Free Black became like who I was instead of like what I was like learning from, if that makes sense. Like all that music and, you know, that aura and that story like was caught up in like how I carried myself. That was like I had to go on the road and perform and like give these records in a certain kind of way. So I felt like I was like shielding myself. I felt like more introverted than I normally am. I just felt like I wasn't progressing. Like I was becoming the Free Black story, and I was like, I need to reset because you know the project wasn't about like sitting here and being here. It was about telling your story and then like moving on to the next chapter. So I kind of felt like I was stuck and I needed to like start over.
Are you naturally an introverted person?
Yeah, I can accept that, and I don't think anything's wrong with it either.
Absolutely not.
I think if you're an introvert, the only task you have to figure out is how to adapt. You know, like I go in places, I can meet people, I can talk, I can have conversations, you know, mingle, party, do whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, like I know I'm more comfortable by myself. But I know I have to exist in these realms too. So it's just like you figure out how to adapt, and then you go back to your fucking hut or whatever it is, to one person, your family, like whatever it is that makes you comfortable, and you chill there.
Yeah, you pretty much answered my next question. I was like, how do you say introvert when your demand gets higher? And this is like, it's always a difficult thing to add.
Yeah.
How's the Atlanta scene now, from your perspective, musically?
Always bubbling in some kind of way. Like whether I think right now, what we got right now, we got a lot right now. We got Gunna, we got Baby, Lil Baby, we got a ton of people. Honestly, it's always something, you know, going on. I feel like Atlanta is just good for sticking together, per usual, and you know, no matter what side you're from or no matter what you're doing, what you sound like, at some point, you know, we all kind of are in arm's reach of each other. So that remains Atlanta. I think is going to be that way for probably another 10 years.
Is there a younger artist that you like, oh, that dude is nice or that woman is nice, or someone that reminds you of you?
As of right now, no. I got to go back and get my hands dirty. I've been like moving too much, but I just like hear things in passing. But I definitely want to go back and actually just scope out, you know, what's going on, because I'm a fan too, so.
I do want to say your tour is fire. Like the lineup, I think that's one of my favorites because it's you, it's Tierra Whack, who I love, it's Summer Walker, who I think is going to be like the next it. Yeah. And then you also have and you have Boogie. Yep. So I'm just like, that shit is stat.
A little bit for everybody, yeah.
Tell me about Summer Walker because she's from Atlanta and like the Girls Need Love. Yeah. One of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, Summer, I mean, obviously Summer is amazing. And like me and Summer always talk in passing, but I kind of feel like we're almost like the same kind of person as far as our personalities go. Like if me and her walked into a room, you know, with other people, like we probably wouldn't speak to each other. And not because we don't fuck with each other, but because like it's just not our personality to be like, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to sit in my corner, I'm going to do my thing. If somebody speak to me, I'll speak back. But like, I kind of felt that, you know, from the few times that I've been like at the studio. But other than that, I'm just excited for what she has next and for tour. Yeah. Because I don't want to like, I don't know. I just feel like I have a really good fan base, like a really open one too. Like when I did my first tour, like as far as the openers went, like people were there, you know, for the show. Not just for me, not just like waiting, not impatient. Like they were there to see, you know, what I had for them before I went on stage. So it'll be the same thing this time. And I think they'll be pleased. Yeah.
And Tierra, she wasn't like featured on there, but she, like her vocals, like her song was. How did that happen? And then what? Because I love Tierra. She's like her personality is amazing.
Yeah. But it was like with any project I do, and probably any project I ever do, I always just want to have some kind of female or just women presence on it. So I was trying to figure that out, you know, while I'm moving around, while I'm recording, as far as features went. And then as the album like started to come together, I was just like, well, I don't have like the perfect feature as far as a woman goes right now, but I do want that perspective. I do want that input. So Tierra was one of the few people where I was just like, hey, text her, just like, can you just send me a couple voice memos, just some clips of just whatever comes to your mind as far as love or men or relationships go, like just put it on record. Send it to me. Like, don't think about any kind of restrictions or anything. Just free. And she sent me some stuff. And then the same thing for this girl, light skin Keisha from Atlanta, and then Mariba. So.
And what's the last name?
Mariba.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely love each of them narration during the thing. I was like, it fits perfectly. I think what was the song? It's I'm pretty sure it was light skin Keisha when she begins the song, she talks and the song comes in. And I was like,
talking about us, Balenciaga challenge.
Yes, and I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, just by like different perspectives. Like, you know, Tierra kind of had she had her perspective and she had her approach, and light skin Keisha was obviously like something like being from Atlanta and like being just familiar with our culture. I know a lot of people like raise their eyebrows on that one. They were just like, okay, like that's familiar to me, or like I've heard this kind of dialect, I've heard like this kind of point of view before. And then Mariba just wrapped it up with, I mean, just the most eloquent way to wrap it up, like the last one, which was After Seasons and Before Stan.
Yeah.
Just I think she hit the nail on the head as far as like what I've struggled with, as far as just like leaving people in a gray area where they don't know what you think, and you both are just sitting there like, what the fuck? So
I really appreciate Atlanta, not just musically, but like as far as culturally, because I think that's the one place where, I don't know, I see a collection of different people coming together to make the best art form for whatever they can. Like every time I go out there, I link up and you see just a wide array of people and like different crews, and no matter what side like you said you're on. Why do you think that's so ingrained in Atlanta? Like it's just always like they'll link up.
Yeah. Just pride. You grow up, you see it all around you, and you want to be a part of it. Like, and like I said, everything is in reach. Everybody's attainable. At some point, you're in the club or standing next to somebody who's doing something. So it's just like, by the time you do whatever you're doing, it's like we all kind of came up together. Like even as simple as like us just riding with Future for as long as he had records in the club before the world knew who he was. Like to this day, like obviously Future popped off long before me, but I can feel like I was there for that come up because we were in the club banging Future records out every day, you know, like every night. So yeah, like I said, everything is like in reach and you see it all happening in real time. So by the time you see each other again, it's like, yeah, of course, let's link.
What do you think of the future R&B? Where do you think it's heading?
I mean, you know, if I'm leading the way, then that's pretty it's pretty promising.
But you are. I feel like you're definitely one of the people, especially with this album. To be completely frank, I feel like this album was a major marker on like this is where it's going.
Right.
Because I've been in more conversation with guys and be like, bruh, this shit gets me emotional. I'm hitting up people. I just hit up my ex. I just hit up my girl I used to talk to. Yeah. And so I don't know. That to me is like this is a major moment.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like I said, it's not even necessarily tied to the Sonics or, you know, like what's going on in these specific projects, but more so just about writing. You know, like if you're gonna write, then write. You know, like if you're gonna tell a story, then tell the whole story. Like I think that's what I thought was missing, you know, before Free Black ever dropped. I was like, yeah, 100%. People are talking, but nobody's like actually like willing to, not even like nobody's just willing to tell the whole truth. It's just like, 100%. You know, tell the whole story, bro, because like people need that. Like somebody somewhere needs to feel like, okay, my favorite artist is going through the same thing I'm going through, or I just want to feel some shit. So like, it's good to hear that somebody is actually like in some real life shit right now. So if you're gonna write, then actually write.
100%, because I definitely think that's what, like, that type of music resonates and it sticks, and that's what propels people, because you cannot listen to just I make money, I get girls, I get this, I floss. Yeah, constantly.
Or even on the love side, like I said, you broke my heart, I love you, you hate me. This is just like, what else, bro? Like, there's more to it. You know there's more to it. Like, the only reason why you're even singing about it is because there's something there. So, like, peel back the layers and give people something that's going to stick.
What do most people know about you? I feel like people know, if they've been following, you're a great writer, amazing singer. What's some of the secrets? Like, favorite video game, favorite TV show?
I love Power.
Nice.
Power's fire. I think everybody should love Power.
Quick Power question. Is their intro, where do you rank it as far as TV intros? It's up there for me.
Yeah, no.
It's up there with Fresh Prince.
I think, like, when you first start watching Power, whether you're into it or not, like once you know the song, then it's over.
100%.
Like it's just like you're in. Once you know the lyrics, it's over.
Have you seen the Power intro dubbed over the Office? The Office. Oh, it's amazing. You need to check that out. It's the best thing in the world.
I haven't seen that, but yeah, Power's fire. Other than that, on the music side, I never thought I would be a singer. I was just a rapper. That's what it was. I got into singing like 2011.
Yeah.
And from there, I just figured out that you don't have to be a traditional singer to be a singer. Like your voice is an instrument. So I just figured out how to use my voice. And other than that, ain't too many secrets. I'm pretty like clear as far as me and my fans go. Like they know pretty much everything. I put my daughter on my album cover. Like
yeah.
Some people are scared to show their kids, like, and I understand why. But for me, it was just like, no, I have this relationship with them, so I can do this.
I was just about to say, what was the, I guess, when did I hit you? Like, I want to do this.
I mean, we did the shoot not thinking about the album cover at all. It was just Father's Day. So, we were just like randomly taking pictures. And when it came time to figure out the cover, we saw the pic and we were just like, that's it. Yeah, it's like, why not?
First emotional father moment when you was like, oh, snap, you started tearing outside of the birth.
Yeah, because I missed that. So I was crying on the phone before I went on stage. And then after that, I mean, honestly, every single like moment I get with her, like my moments are scarce. So anytime I'm with her, whether it's just like us running to get a smoothie or walking around or chilling, watching her watch TV, like every single one of those moments is like a tear up moment, or at least internally, like, damn, like I made this and like this is gonna grow and she's gonna walk and she's gonna ask me for money one day and she's gonna have a prom or like whatever that, like this, every single one of those moments is.
Funniest moment that happened this summer to you?
Funniest moment. I'm trying to figure out a good laugh. Where was I this summer? Was I on tour? I'm trying to think. I feel like I was on tour. Yeah, that wasn't too funny.
No. Oh no.
That wasn't funny at all. Yeah, the summer wasn't the laughing summer. It was work.
It was work?
It was a lot of work. So yeah.
How so? Like work meaning like
I mean, yeah, I was touring, so it was just like checking in and checking out every day. It just got to that point where I was like, I'm just clocking in, I'm performing, and I'm clocking out. And I was just waiting to get back to this, which is just my thing, my tour, my everything. So,
how exhausting is that? I feel like, do you have to be like, I need to make sure I'm like healthy and like in shape?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've been pretty good for the most part. I think towards the end of this last tour that just ended was when things got a little shaky. I guess my cords were like inflamed, but tour was already over. But my cords this was like a couple of weeks ago too. So cords were inflamed. I'm supposed to be on vocal rest. I get like an infection on the way back from New York.
Shit. So
I go see a doctor. He's like, yo, you got acid and like all this shit like dripping into your windpipe. And I'm just like, great. Good to know. So yeah, I lost my voice for a while. And like now I can't like smoke, drink, enjoy myself, fried food, spicy foods.
You about to be healthy as shit.
Yep. I don't know for how long. But yeah. He just gave me like a good diet and regimen to stick to, so now I have to like take care of that.
Nice. And then an artist you would love to collab with that you haven't had a chance, dead or alive. An artist you wish you can collab with, dead or alive.
Don't really have a list, but obviously who doesn't want to work with Kendrick? Who doesn't want to work with Beyonce, Rihanna? The heavyweights. I like the heavyweights. The heavyweights are heavyweights for a reason. So
if you can work with Beyonce and write a song, what would that song title be?
I don't know. We was trying to figure that out earlier, actually. Right in the car. Yeah, we was trying to figure that out earlier. Don't know yet, but I'm gonna figure that out soon.
That'd be fire. I feel like you do a male side of an argument. She does a female side.
Yeah, whatever. It don't matter if it's writing. It don't matter if it's an ad lib. I don't care. It's something.
Nice. And then your goal by the end of the year, something you have to accomplish, and it doesn't have to be in music neither. It can just be like
goal by the end of the year. Finish out tour strong, and set myself up to be able to just actually spend time with my kid. That's it. Yeah, go out with a bang, and then be like, all right, I need a second.
And then the last question we usually do is, if you can give advice to any singer or artist out there right now, what would that advice be?
If you're working keep working. If you accomplish something, keep working. If somebody tells you you're amazing, keep working. If you get an award or a nomination, keep working. If you make $1 million, keep working. Like every day I wake up, I'm just trying to figure out how to get better, what more I can do. So I think the minute you lose that attitude is the minute you become stagnant or you fall back.
Nice. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's today's episode of Soundcheck, and definitely check out Black's fantastic album, East Atlanta Love Letter, which is out now. You can listen to more episodes of Soundcheck and keep up with everything HYPEBEAST Radio at hypebeast.com/radio. Subscribe to Soundcheck on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Overcast, or whenever you listen to podcasts on. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at ECM_LP and follow HYPEBEAST Music for more original content and music news. Let us know who you'd like to have on the show, and thank you for listening to Soundcheck.